Hey guys, welcome back. And today we get into some advanced functions on date and time. Specific functions that we'll get into are the ones which will be used uh, frequently during your data cleansing or your or sorting your data according to your needs for analytics. So today's function that we are going to look at is the days function. So days. So what does days function do? Usually the Excel days function is constructed to count the number of days between two valid dates. Now it is categorized under the date function, as you know, since we are looking into the days and time function. Now it is again not supported in the earlier versions as compared to what is Excel 2013 onwards. So this function is available from Excel 2013 and onwards all versions. Okay. So multiple role models such as financial analyst, project managers, and business analysts uh, greatly benefit by using this kind of functions by quickly determining the fixed deposit duration or calculating the number of days essential to complete high priority projects or probably maturity of your insurance, bonds, or anything else. Yeah. So this particular function is used to calculate days between two valid dates. Yeah. And the syntax for it is days. Then you have the open bracket. Then you have to give the end date and the start date from where you want to start your counter. Okay. So let's understand what date will have is it specifies the date serial number, a cell reference, or a date value in a valid format or a formula whose result is specific date value. So it has to be a date or a serial number. Again, the start date, it is another date serial number or a valid date or a cell reference or a date value from a function, but it has to be a valid date value. So let's quickly jump into and understand how you calculate days. So suppose I have, let me move this a bit. We know our today function. So today, if I say is equal to today, it will give me today's date. Yeah. Let me make it a bit broader so that it can. This is today's date. Now, suppose I want to know the date earlier to this date. Yeah. Or I want to calculate date prior to this date. How would I go about doing it? So the number of days that I should be looking out at is so what we are trying to find out is the days between a specific days or a serial number. Yeah. So let me have some dates first in my column. So let me have this date as 42370. This is a serial number or a date that we have. I want to know the number of days since this particular date. Yeah. So what I can do is equal to days. I want to know how many days it has been since today's date. So I'll say today we have to start with the end date And then I'll select the date from where I would like to get the number of days. So I've selected 2016. And it is giving me 3,419 days since today, that is 2016. Let me make it simple. If I have to, today is 12th May. So if I select 2025 and make it 1st of May, it should give me 12 days ideally. Okay, 5, the month has to be earlier. Yeah, so 11 days since today. Okay, so what we are trying to do is trying to find out difference between two dates in the way of dates. Yeah. So if I have to calculate the days, so this is how I calculate the days. Yeah. Suppose I have the number of days as suppose I have the number of days as various. Let me see where I have taken date as one of the functions. We have earlier used various forms of date. So let me use some of the dates which could be helpful in calculating the number of days. So which one can I use? Let's use this ones. Okay. So I'll use this ones for our purpose. Okay. I'll just hide this. Okay. So I have a lot of dates here and I want to know today's date or the days between this particular date and today. So I'll say is equal to days today, whatever date I have for today, and the last date that I want from the date from where I would like to calculate the days. So there are 32 days between this. 2 days, that is today's date, and the one which we already have in the A4 column. Yeah. So you can have days between two dates, or if I want to find days between these two dates, so I can say is equal to days. I'll select the start date or end date, whichever I feel feasible, comma, and I'll put the start date. I'll say enter, and you find 4079 because now I have taken the end date as 1979. So it is giving me the other way around of calculation, hence it is giving me minus. But if I put this as 6, which is the 1990th year, and start date as 79, then you get the right ones. So you need to give the latest date as your end date to get a positive day. If you give it the other way around, wherein the latest date is the end date, then you will get the number of days in a negative number format. Yeah. Now, there are few things that you need to understand. The basic understanding of this particular formula, I guess I have made it clear that it is used to count the number of days between two dates. And always, as a thumb rule, see to it that you keep the latest date at the end date. And the start date should be earlier date to get a positive integer or the positive number of dates. Now, the important thing that you need to remember is if both arguments contain text string, then it is not passed at valid date. Then in this case, the days function will retrieve a value error. So suppose I have this days in the form of, suppose I make it a string. I make both a string, not this format. Let me have something as 25, 5, 2, 0, 0, 2, 5. Yeah. And I'll say is equal to days, today, comma, this date. And you find it is giving me an error. It is giving me a red circle showing that it is an error that has on encountered. It's not able to calculate the number of days. Yeah, it is giving me a value error because this particular date is not in a date format. It is in a string format. Now, another thing that you need to remember is if both arguments contain numeric values outside the ranges of valid dates, then the days function will retrieve num error. Now you remember we have spoken about the days which should not go beyond 9999. Yeah, if you remember this, if it goes beyond this, then it will give you a num error. Same way, if it is, if your number, let me put it this way, 01, 01, 1900. This is the minimum date that you can have. But if this number goes, let me show you what number it is. 1. So if I put anything which is 0, and if I try to find the days, see what it gives. Days today, comma, the start date is 0. See, it is giving me an error. Yeah, it will not give you anything. If I try to give 10,000, it will give you minus. Yeah. So you need to see to it that your both argument contains numeric values, but it should not go beyond the date range. So if I say 0, it will give me 10,000. Yeah. So if I have, it's giving me 0 once again. So let me show you the valid numbers that you can use so that you do not encounter a num error. The numericals that you have should not go beyond your serial number of days. So you need to remember the serial number that you can have for a particular day. For 1900, it starts at 40729. So if I add, let me see if it happens that way. Give me 1 minute. I'll give you an example on a num error because of How can I add? So if I have anything, suppose I have this as 45,000. Let me see. It is giving me and not giving me an error. Let me see if I make it other way around. 45,000 and my start date to be 1 lakh. It is still giving me an that's great. You see, yeah. So you can see here, if I have this number beyond the serial number range, which is 9,99,999, it comes up with a num error. So this is what I wanted to show you. So if the serial numbers provided, yeah, are out of the range of the dates, then it will give you an error. Yeah. So you understood when you will get a value error. Value error would be encountered when there is a text string of date rather than actual date value. And num error will occur if the serial numbers or the dates that you have told it's out of the range of the actual dates considered by Excel. Okay. So if a numeric value is supplied over here, then it will usually subtract the number. So I showed you this here. So it just subtract the number and give you the number of days. Another thing that you need to understand, if any arguments contains a string, text string, that argument is considered date value and retrieves an integer date despite a time component. Yeah. So you need to be very careful while you're using all this date. So basic thing that we are trying to do is find number of days. So that is days. If I say today, comma, the date from where I want to find the number of days. Yeah. Same way for others, whether you put serial number. Yeah. This is a text. That's why it is not considering and it's giving me a value error. Same way for this. Yeah. And for this as well. So this is minus 43,501 is out of range of the serial number. Hence it is giving me your num error. Yeah. So the thing that you need to remember for days function is it gives you back the number of days between two dates. That's pretty simple. Yeah. And these are the things that you need to take care of while using this days function. That is so that you do not encounter value error and num error as well. Yeah. Hope I was able to make this concept clear in terms of days function, which is mostly used to find number of days. And I usually use it when I have to find in my financial function, find out DPDs or the number of days since a particular loan is due. Since I work in a financial sector which is more into lending business. So I use it to find out the number of days since a person has not paid his EMIs or his due amount. Yeah. Hope I was able to make this concept clear on days. Hope you understood this function. Do uh, like this video, share it across with the colleagues who want to learn Excel. Um, Comment if you want me to cover any of the topics in this 365 days of Excel journey. And yes, do not forget to subscribe to my channel because that's how you're going to get all these videos directly to your inbox. Thank you so much.